Hello, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. I am up close and personal right now to make sure the audio comes through clearly. I'm hoping this fixes the issue I had on the previous video, but anyway. I feel weird being this close to the camera, but okay. We are talking about Tedious Tutors, and today in this video, they're tutors that are really, really good in very specific decks. In the right deck, these are going to be amazing. In the right situation, they're absolutely incredible. And the rest of the time, they're kind of terrible. One thing I do want to clarify that someone brought up, I think they were not really making a good faith argument, but they ended up making kind of a good point, is that all of these, I'm not suggesting you just throw these into any deck. He said I was suggesting you could just jam these cards into any deck and it would just be better decks. I'm not saying that. Yeah, no. You have to actually pick the right card for your deck, which is why I have 10 options. Yeah, you can't just throw anything into a deck. Any card, you can't just throw in. You gotta, say, does this work for my deck? Also, if someone says this cleaner's really good, you can't drink it. You gotta use things for the purpose they're actually intended for. I'm getting a little snarky now, but I had a whole long, interaction about this that was just really not a good use of time. But anyway, let's get to the list. Okay, we're going to look at our MTG Tedious Tutors. Remember, these are not good in every deck. None of them are good in every deck. You should always think about what cards you're putting in the decks. But anyway, these are good in very specific decks. They're going to be amazing. But yeah, otherwise, probably a pass. Number 10. Okay, Ayara's Oathsworn for 1 and a black. I have the most trouble saying Ayara. I just want to say area instead. Cause I'm just thinking Game of Thrones, I guess. But anyway, a 2/2 with Menace. This human knight says, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, if it has fewer than 4 +1/+1 counters on it, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then if it has exactly 4 +1/+1 counters on it, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So yeah. Every time this does combat damage, if it already has 4 +1/+1 counters on it, you're going to check that the 4 +1/+1 counters are there, and then you'll go get a card. Any card, every turn. So this is once per combat. Especially, it already has Menace. Give it one more kind of evasion, and you're just getting a card every turn for doing combat damage. Especially black is not bad at evasion in general. So yeah, give it Shadow or something and then just done. 31 cents? Number 9. Okay. Demonic Collusion. Here's our background art again. 3 black. For this sorcery. 3 black. Bad start. Real bad start. There's the big downside right there. Is that 5 CMC casting cost. I was doing 6 with my hands because I figured I had 4 fingers for a second, which I do, if you don't count my thumb. But anyway. Buyback, discard 2 cards. So whenever you cast this, you can also discard 2 cards, any 2 cards you want, and then just put this back into your hand, and then cast it again and again and again. Just keep discarding. This is amazing, and especially you want to pair it with a deck that has a lot of madness, and things like Delirium, or even Threshold, where Delirium cares about the different types of cards in your deck, or in your graveyard, not in your deck, in your graveyard, and then Threshold cares how many cards there are in your graveyard. So yeah, you can set both of these up very, very easily using this effect, and pair it with Madness as well, which black is not bad at. You're gonna be paying that 5 mana, which is not great, but the value you're gonna get out of that is absolutely insane. 173. This is actually the most expensive one on the list. Number 8. Increasing Ambition. Once again, 5 CMC. This is why they're low on the list. So, this 4 and a black sorcery. Search your library for a card and put it in your hand. If Increasing Ambition was cast from your graveyard, instead search your library for 2 cards and put those into your hand, then shuffle your library. Okay, so 4 and a black to cast this. You go get 1 card. Not great. 5 mana for only 1 card and no other side effect? Yeah. But you can cast this for 8 and get 2 things if you cast it from your graveyard. That's quite a bit better, right? You definitely want a deck where you're able to pump out a lot of black mana. Like, say, I think, what is it called? Not Black Market. Now I've got the wrong anyway. Every time a creature dies, you put another counter on this enchantment, and then you just make a whole pile of, like, black mana every turn. Totally spacing on what it's called right now, even though it's one of my go-tos, but I'm recording, so I forget everything. Anyway. Also, if you have a commander that allows, or a commander, if you're able to cast things from your graveyard, paying 5 CMC, if you can cast it from your graveyard, gets you 2 cards. That's actually pretty solid, right? So even if you can discard or mill this into your graveyard and then cast it from your graveyard, go get 2 of any card you want for 5 mana, that's actually a pretty good deal right there. 59 cents. Number 7. Inevitable Betrayal. Okay, so this has Suspend. Is 1 blue to cast this, and search target opponent's library for a creature card and put that into the battlefield under your control. Then shuffle that player shuffles. That's what I should say. So it's not tutoring your deck; it's tutoring an opponent's deck. And then, yeah, you get to put it straight into the battlefield, though. This isn't tutor to hand, this is straight to the battlefield. So go get whatever the best creature is and just throw it in the battlefield under your control. Not too shabby. The real downside here is Suspend 3. So do you want to tutor in 3 turns? 3 turns the game might be over, right? Not ideal. What you do this with is something like Cascade or Discover. When you use it with Cascade or Discover, it will automatically cast this and it'll ignore the Suspend. It'll cast it as a 0 and you'll just get the effect. So you're not waiting those 3 turns anymore, you're just going to automatically do it. And that becomes really, really good in that very narrow, specific setting. 52 cents. Number 6. Okay, Case of the Stash Skeleton for 1 and a black. When this enters the battlefield, create a 2/1 black skeleton creature token with and suspect it. Right, suspect it. That means it has menace but cannot block. So there's a downside right there already. But as soon as to solve, if you control no suspected creatures, again, if unsolved, solve at the beginning of your next end step. Again, so at the beginning of your next end step, it's going to check if you have no suspected creatures. There's, yeah, no suspected skeletons. It does specify skeletons, which is nice. Then, yeah, you're going to go tutor anything you want. Solved? Okay. Pay 1 and a black, sacrifice this case, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, activate only as a sorcery. So if you can pull enchantments out of your graveyard, you can keep redoing this, first of all. Also, if you can sack things, if you can just, like, sacrifice things, Suspect doesn't allow you to block to get it killed easily, but it does not stop you from sacrificing, right? If you can sacrifice that skeleton, boom, you're going to be able to immediately just go get whatever you want. It ends up costing 4, so that's not great, but again, if you have a way to keep pulling this out of your graveyard and throw it into your battlefield, this is worth it. If you want to, like, repeatable tutor. Number 5. Disciple of Deceit for a blue and a black. This is a human rogue, a 1/3 rogue. Rogue has a lot of things you can build off of there. That's actually pretty useful. But what we care about is it has Inspired. So whenever it becomes untapped, you may discard a non-land card. If you do, search your library for a card with the same converted mana cost as this card. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So what you really want to be able to do is keep drawing cards so that you have something to discard that is going to be worth the same value as something you want to go get. Which sounds a little convoluted. I think this is actually a really good card that has the downside of having too much text. A lot of these are not popular, I think, just because there's too much writing on them. That's a big thing that really seems to drive down the price of cards sometimes. Again, there's all kinds of extra value you can get out of discarding. If it's madness, if it's threshold, if it's delirium, if it's whatever, yeah, you can really make this matter. And with blue, you can just keep drawing and kind of not really worry too much. Again, if you're tutoring us something that gets you closer to win con, great. Discarding's fine. It's about moving that, moving that forward. What is the expression? Moving the rock forward? No. I already did 4 hours of solid teaching today, so my brain is done. Anyway, 17 cents. Number 4. Alright, Demonic Bargain. For a 2 and a black is a sorcery. Okay, this one is like, I could see people really disliking this choice, but anyway. Exile the top 13 cards of your library. Aye. Search the library for a card, put that into your hand, then shuffle. Very obvious, huge downside. You're exiling 13 cards at the top of your own library. Are you going to exile that card that you want to tutor? Maybe. Are you going to exile the second card you want to tutor? Maybe also. So you kind of want to have like a plan A, plan B, plan C if you want to use this. But in the right deck, it is pretty amazing. There are ways to pull things out of exile and be able to cast them again. They're not easy to find, especially I think if they have flashback, it might be a bit easier. But yeah. With certain effects, you can actually pull things back out of exile. Combining that with this is really good. Most of those effects, I believe, are at least partially black, so that'd probably fit very nicely. Anyway, 21 cents. Number 3. Emergent Ultimatum. Okay, if you know the ultimatums, you're probably not surprised to see one of them here. We got 2 black, 3 green, 2 blue, 4 Sultai. I just did a budget Sultai deck. Search your library for up to 3 monocolored cards with different names and exile them. Different names is actually kind of awesome if you're playing Commander because it's singleton. They all have different names. Except for the lands, I guess, but probably not tutoring basic lands for this much, but anyway. An opponent chooses one of those cards. Shuffle that card into your library. You may cast the other cards without paying their mana cost. So this is going to give you 2 of them for free. Unfortunately, one of them, an opponent gets to just like throw it back into your library. So again, it's one of those things where you need kind of like multiple ideas of what to do. You need at least 2 really good ones so that when you choose 3, they send one of the really good ones back and you still get 2 solid ones. But even for 7 mana, getting 2 free spells of anything you want and being able to cast them right away for free, that's worth it. That is big time worth it. It was 62 cents. Number 2. We're getting up there. Coveted Prize. Okay, this is actually, I think, maybe the best tutor in the game, but it's so specific about when it's good. That's why it's number 2. 4 and a black. For this sorcery, it costs 1 less cast for each creature in your party. There it is right there. Party. You need a full party or don't do it. Actually a bit of a headache to do, right? Getting 4 creatures of different types, maybe less. You can do like 4 changelings or something and then be like, okay, done. You do need to have 4 creatures at least. That will cover things. You can't just have 1 changeling and be like, okay, full party. That counts as all 4. No, you do need 4. Anyway, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. So remember, first of all, what I probably should have really pointed out is that this can be cast for 1 black. 1 black for this tutor. And it will go get any card and put it into your hand, shuffle your library. If you have a full party, you may cast a spell with converted mana cost 4 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. It's a tutor that will automatically cast a spell for 4 times its mana value. You don't have to even take the card you tutored and cast that. No. You go tutor a card, you put it into your hand, and then you could cast anything for 4 CMC or less. That's nuts. That's just put anything you want into the battlefield. For 1 mana, basically tutor and 4 cost spell. Straight in. What? Anyway, 20 cents. Number 1. You might know from the look of this. This is Tedious Journal. This is a 5 mana artifact. It's nice right off the bat. It's colorless, so you can put this in absolutely anything, which is nice. You could tap it, sacrifice 3 clues, search a library for a card, put that into your hand, then shuffle. And also, at the beginning of your upkeep, investigate. So you're going to make a clue every upkeep. Not a bad start, not worth 5, but sacrifice 3 clues, just tap it, go get any card you want. Combine this with, especially blue is what I think of. Blue is great at making clues, first of all. Also, hey, you can very easily untap. You've got lots of ways to untap with blue as well. So you're just going to make all these clues, tap, untap, tap, untap. It doesn't even have a mana cost, so you could just go if you made a bunch of clues, you could just go tap it, grab something. Oh, untap it, grab something, untap it, grab something. You could potentially just grab whatever combination of cards you want to do absolutely anything. The setup for this is pretty minimal, and it does just anything you want it to. Nuts. It's only 33 cents. Am I reading this card wrong or something? Why is it 33 cents? The list. Okay, we've got Ayara's Oathsworn, 31 cents. I said it right again. Oh, wow. Demonic Collusion, 173. The most expensive one. Increasing Ambition, 52 cents. If you can cast things from your graveyard, it's really not bad. Inevitable Betrayal, 28 cents. Maybe you do kind of need to know something about what your opponents have in their deck. Still not too hard to take advantage of. Case of the Stash Skeleton, 19 cents. Long name again, long names. Disciple of Deceit, only 17 cents. I swear, it's only low because of the amount of text. That's the only thing. Demonic Bargain, 21 cents. Not fun exiling all those cards, I admit. Emergent Ultimatum, 62 cents. Not hard to get the value out of that. Coveted Prize, 20 cents. So good. Tedious Journal, 33 cents. This is the most unbelievable one, especially with all the things that clues do now. This is crazy. Anyway, take it easy.